Oh. Oh no. All right. Jesus. All right. So, last time we were playing as Mayu, and I don't know what happened. We just, like, we fell through. The school changed, like usual. The school changed, and she ended up being able to find Yoshiki and Ayumi. Which is the one that looks like Jay from Hypin, and then the occult girl. We found them, but he was talking with Mayu, and then we just ended up here. So I don't know if they're just skipping over that or whatever, but whatever. The faucet is rusted over, and the handle is spinning freely. It's unlikely any water will ever come out from these pipes again. Alright. Oh, upon twisting the handle, the tin shower head above spun slightly, and a small bent piece of wire fell out from it onto the ground. It could. Let's check all of them. Come on. Nope. Alright. So, we already know what happens at this pool. Check the third from the... Oh. What was written there before? We already found the thingy. There's nothing else, right? Okay, let's go to the pool. Alright, hey! There's dead people that weren't here before. There's a thoroughly decayed corpse lying here, practically melting away in the rain. Based on height and uniform, it seems to have once been a male senior high school student. There's a student ID name tag lying on the ground nearby. Alright. Oh. There's a comparatively fresh corpse floating in the pool. It looks to be that of a female middle school student, based on her uniform and relative size. The back of her head seems to have been bashed in, revealing white skull and pink brain tissue through the parts in her hair. She must have been struck pretty hard. Her student ID name tag is floating right next to her, with the big, bold letters making it illegible even from a distance. Takine? Takine Municipal... whatever. Chiaki Hiyama. Alright. That's it? Alright. Okay. So, I wonder if now that the school is different, if we can check these stuff. These other rooms. Because remember, there was the floor in the hallway was, like, concaved, so we couldn't do anything there. Alright. It's locked. Damn. Oh. Oh! We can use the wire to pick the lock. I swear to God, if this is the type of game where the tools break after one wear, I'm going to end my life. Okay. Just don't be judgy, you weirdo. Did the game save or... Wait, hello? Oh, I can go in now. Hold up. Is there anything out here? Let me save. Yep. Alright. Oh, God. Hey! What's it shaped like?
だからこの部屋が変だって。
岸沼くん、前も同じこと言わなかった？うん。この部屋よ。ここ前も見たことある。
Oh,
私たちここで
I was not there for that.
あの男の子に。
なんだあのガキ。いつの間に。
He's a ghost. He can get here whatever he
あの子
wants.
に近づいちゃう。テオ、この部屋良くない感じがする。
Right.
確かに妙な気はするけど、部屋の奥になんかあるんだよな。ちょっと調べてくるから、お前はここにいろよ。やばいと思ったら俺のことはいいから先に逃げろ。
He's such a sweetheart.
また勝手に決めて。気をつけてよ。いい？あの子の目を絶対に見ないで。
I really do not like her. I want to like her, but I don't like her at all. She pisses me off constantly. Ooh, I'm not gonna do it. Okay, there's a large conspicuous lever attached to it. Yeah, just pull it. Now he can leave. Oh. Where's this?
なんか起きたか？わ
からないけど。
ああ、すぐ戻る。
Yeah, I don't know where that is, but let's go to the other room. There's another ghost in here. There's a red chalk drawing on the board that looks kind of like tomatoes smashed against the wall. Based on the crudely colored shapes and uneven lines, it was likely drawn by an elementary school student. An arrow is pointing to the tomato with a big label written in sloppy letters. Girl Good Splat. Damn, these ghosts... They keep making fun of her. Stop making fun of Mayu. She didn't do anything. You guys are the ones who killed her. Oh. These are fully fossilized remains of yet another student. This one seems particularly small. He was probably in 5th or 6th grade at most. There's a name tag attached to his clothing. Renaissance Elementary School. Takashi. Hey, dude. Okay. Thank you. You're really helpful. Thank you for that. Oh! We're here. We probably can't budge that frickin' door open. The lever appears to have opened a trapdoor on the wall just wide enough for a person to fit through.
こっから入れそうだぜ。
なんだか気が進まないわね。ここはプールやさっきの教室よりもまがまがしい気配がある。
Okay.
だけど、もしかしたら外に出られるかもしれないし。
Dude, it opened. We might as well.
とりあえず一回
Okay,
俺が
it
入って
quick saved.
安全かどうかを確認してくるから。
待って、岸沼くんだけじゃ心配よ。霊感ゼロの素人なんだから。
Alright. What's that? Small chest of some sort. Take it. Small, finely detailed accessory case made from tortoise shell. Its design is long outdated, but the quality of the craftsmanship suggests it must have been very expensive back in its day. Slightly shaking it produces a loud, distinct rattle.
なんか入ってるみてえだ。音の感じからすると、箱の重さの割に入ってんのは小さいものらしいな。
Not sure if we'll need this, whatever it is, but we might as well take it with us just in case.
Huh?
Oh. What? A noise from inside the closet. Turning the dials accomplishes nothing. Without electricity, it's just a box. But wasn't the sound of TV static audible from the hall only a few moments ago? Yeah, it was. There's nothing else. There's a heater. Okay. It's wearing down my back teeth. Crunch, 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 crunch. Why? That's why I said we should stop this. I want to go to karaoke again, but not with all those aphids around. My toenails are gone, so I can't walk. I quickly turned around to find Shinazaki excitedly mumbling something to herself in a low tone. Girl, I don't like you. Her whole body was slanted with her head leaning against the wall, and she was completely focused on one specific section of the empty floor.
篠崎
I'm glad we're getting more weird moments with her. Dude. Okay. Say it, don't spray it.
どうしたんだよ余計なことってこの箱のことか
It's Finders Keepers. Oh my god, isn't it? It's like that one movie where she was banging her head against the glass.
おいよせふざけてんなら怒
Oh
るぜ
shit, I forgot to read it, sorry. Oh damn.
いつもあんたは言ったよね。友達だからってね。自分の身は自分で。何よその目を。待ちなさいよ。
Okay. Hmm?
喉が焼けるみたいだ。
Mm-hmm.
臭いだよ。そうだ走らなきゃ。姉様どうして。
Why does she remind me of that one shaman from the K-drama The Glory, where she just starts screaming and then, you know, dies? Not really a spoiler because she's not important, but... After stumbling around almost drunkenly for a few moments, Shinazaki suddenly took off running. She leaped through the trapdoor and out into the hall.
なんだってんだよあいつ
But yeah, again, I'm glad we're getting more perspective of her being a freaking
連れ戻さ
weirdo.
ねえと
なかなか興味深いですね。
Uh,
彼女。
who's talking? Oh, her. I'm not certain where she came from, nor how, or when or how she got here. She seemed to be about the same age as me. She looked mostly normal, but her eyes were much less vibrant than they should have been, appearing flat and lifeless like those of a dead fish. She's got really pretty eyes, I will say. Her name was Naho Senoki.
霊能者兼物書き兼高校
You
生
know,
って
you're a
ことでしょうか
piece of crap. I don't like you.
生前はという注釈付きですけど
Yeah, she's
生
dead.
前って
遺憾ながらそういうことになりますね
Regrettably. Yeah, I'd rather her be in this
てめ
form.
えもあのガキの仲間ってわけかよ篠崎に何しやがった俺たちをこんなとこに閉じ込めてどうしようってんだ
I don't know if this is before or after we found out that she purposefully trapped us here.
あらそれは誤解ですどちらかといえば私も被害者
Okay, then it's before.
それだけではないですけれど
そっかあんたもここに閉じ込められてそれで
Hmm.
それより今の彼女大した才能をお持ちのようで
Hmm.
そうだ篠崎
He just remembered her.
待ちなさいあなたが彼女と長く付き合うつもりなら
Hmm.
私の話を聞いておくのは損にならないと思いますよ
I don't want to listen to anything you have to say to me.
付き合う
I got out because of me, not because of you.
手短に頼むぜ
I don't like her teeth.
その冷静な判断好感が持てます
Well, obviously, he's J from Hypen. What else would he be?
篠崎の才能って
霊媒や巫女シャーマンといえば分かりやすいでしょうか
Hmm. Yes, I
自然科
am.
学では定義しづらいおぼろな存在要するに霊や神といったものに自分の体を貸して権限させる 口
Okay.
寄せとか神下ろしとか悪魔つきとか言われる行いをするものです
Mm-hmm.
イタコンみたいなもんか
ええあなたも見たように彼女はこの場に吹き溜まっていた死者たちの思念を取り込んでいくらこの天神小学校が特別な状態にあるとはいえ
例そのものではなく、
Okay.
こんな残りかすのような思念を私が見てきた中ではかなりの才能と言って差し支えないと思います。
Alright.
そんなもんが才能だって。あいつはあんたとは違うんだぜ。
ここを抜け出すつもりならただの無知無力な人間よりも有利だと思います。
That does make sense
ただ
because
し制御できればの話ですが。
I mean it somehow explains it, but not really, because Sachiko and Nao, for some reason, they have actual bodies. They don't look like spirits the way that everybody else does, like the blue spirits, right? And the red ones that we would see in the game. So she's saying that those are thoughts, right? Those are thoughts of the past, but she's a real ghost. What is the difference? How does one become a thought as opposed to become a spirit? And what makes them a thought? Because there's a lot of dead people here, but there's only certain thoughts, spirits, that show up. So it's like, does that ever get explained?
あれが自分をコントロールしている状態だとでも。
Thoughts
彼
of
女は
another.
抜群に感度が高いアンテナを頭に24時間くっつけているようなもの。
So she's just psyche.
でも
Got it.
周波数を選ぶどころかスイッチのオンオフの仕方さえまだ身につけていない。
Bro, I don't like her
あのまま
eyebrows.
ではいずれ
She's looking at me
回
like
線
The
がショー
Rock.
トして壊れてしまうか、受信した電波を垂れ流すだけのガラクタになってしまうか。
Mm-hmm.
篠崎が元に戻らねえってのかよ。
さあ
Maybe just
どう
slap
で
her.
しょう。それは彼女とあなた次第。
I really don't like you.
頼む、一緒に来て篠崎を助けてやってくれ。
This is like an Until Dawn situation where I don't like all of the characters, but my goal is to save all of them, whether I like them or not.
私も私の大切な人を探していますから。
Oh yeah, that one dude. You weirdo.
私がしてあげられるのはこれくらいです。もっともこれがいい方へ転がるかその逆か、
Sure.
それもまたあなた方次第。
また地震か。
What? This was the big one. I literally couldn't stand up. I fell to my knees and on the floor. A lot of this I don't remember, but I mean, this is a time loop, so technically things could be different here. I couldn't even tell you how long it lasted. It felt like it would never end, but eventually, little by little, it did subside. Okay, thank you. My eyes were getting a little weird. I stood back up and surveyed my surroundings, but as expected, the ghost of the girl was nowhere to be seen anymore. And this particular quake felt like it shook the very foundation of the entire building. Shinozaki was all I had on my mind. She was in serious danger.
なんだかわかんないけどよ。
You and me both, because technically I can't use my foresight for
だ
this
けは
game.
守んなきゃなんねんだ。何があってもよ。
Yep.
篠崎！
These voice actors should have got a big raise. Oh. Oh. Where am I?
あいつ、俺のこと心霊現象素人みてえに言いやがったくせに。自分があんなざまになっちまっちゃ。世話ねえぜ。
そうだったんだ。
Oh.
篠崎さんも
I
大
was
変だ
just
ったんだ。
telling her what was happening? Bro, Jay's like me. I have to tell you the whole story.
森重は一緒じゃねえのか。
We don't talk about him.
探してるんだけどね。
まあ、あいつのことだからどうせ無事だろう。幽霊見てさ、シェイクスピアの歌劇を彷彿とさせるな。とか言って、俺と鈴本がこうして会えたんだ。
そうだよね。
ま、廊下がつながったおかげで探す場所が増えちまったけどな。
でも一人で探すより二人で探す方が絶対にいいよ。
Yeah, come on, let's group up. Oh my god. I love
い
this.
つもの鈴本らしくなってきたじゃねえ
I
の。
want a unique group dynamic that we haven't had before, and we haven't had these two
じゃあ
people together at
気合
all.
い入れてみんなを探しに行くか。
We got like number one sweetheart and number one badass in one group.
しげに近くにいることは分かったんだから
Dude, stop talking about him.
その前におトイレ。
お前な。
Can't we just piss on the floor?
ずっと怖くて緊張してたからかな。急にお腹が。
そんじゃ
Alright.
それもついでに探すか。
Hopefully we don't see a dead person in it. Okay. There's a gap in the floor here. A board has been laid across it as a makeshift bridge, but it's a bit unstable after the quake. Best to cross with care. I don't like that the game is just taking me wherever it pleases. Oh, yeah! The stairwell is completely packed with desks, making it virtually impassable. Fortunately, that last earthquake seems to have knocked many of them loose. With two people working in tandem, it shouldn't take very long to clear a path.
この机どうしようか。
This is good! That way we can go to the third
こ
floor.
のままでも通れるかもしれないけど、崩れると危ねえからな。
Dude, they're chairs. Or
片付け
desks.
ちゃおう。よかった。トイレだ。ごめ
Alright.
ん、私ちょっと行ってくるね。
ああ、近くにいるから、なんかあったらすぐ呼べよ。
ちょっと離れててよ。その、聞こえちゃったら
Oh god.
嫌だ
Just,
し。
girl, just go pee. In a situation like this, I don't care who's hearing me pee. Oh. Never mind.
お腹壊しちゃった。
I guess it's not pee.
もうやだ。
Oh, come on. I don't want to witness this. Can I not be here? I don't want to be here while she takes a crap.
使えるトイレがあってよかっ
Yeah, but is there toilet paper?
た。よいしょっと。あれ、どっかにお腹ぶつけたのかな。あざになってる。
Damn. Oh, it's those toilets that are on the floor. When did this happen and how? Even if I had hit my stomach on something, who ever heard of someone's belly getting bruised? I mean, I've seen bruises on stomachs, just not like that. I took a closer look and found myself momentarily breathless. Okay, is it... Do we have to, like, get a panty shot here? Like, really?
なんなのこれ。
The reddish purple bruise was like fault lines emanating out in all directions, with my belly button serving as the epicenter. It almost looked like a weirdly colored spider web attached to my skin.
なんでもない。すぐ行くから。
Bro, I would point that out. I'd be like, bro, I got a
超
bruise
すっきり。
on my stomach.
おう、
それより岸沼くん、離れててって言ったのに。
He doesn't care. Go shit, girl.
いや、鈴本がでけえ声出したから来たんだよ。
ごめんごめん。あと、岸沼くんはいいのトイレ。
Bro, he can piss whatever he wants.
ああ、いや、男子便所に入るとよ、なんか、
Oh, yeah.
なんだよ、男の霊が。開けるなーとか。
落ち着けないね。
Dude, that only happens with one of the
気を
stalls.
取り直して篠崎さん探しましょう。
おう、
Alright.
なんで私あのあざのこと黙ってるんだろう。男の子に見せるのが
For some reason, I don't know what's up.
そうじゃない。
I don't remember her having a bruise before, like in the first game. So I can't really sit there and be like, oh, it's fate that she can't tell her. Or tell him. My mind was racing, with worst case scenarios popping into my head one after another. But for some reason, they're not able to say what they want to say here. I kept hoping this was all in my imagination, all nothing but a nightmare. But it sure felt real, and that was the scariest thing of all. Maybe I was sick. Maybe I needed to go to the hospital. I couldn't stand all this uncertainty. I don't like looking at this, but I didn't say anything about it. I just walked with Kishinuma all throughout the school building in search of Shinozaki. I thought maybe, if I went with him, I might run into Shig along the way, or at least find some clue as to his whereabouts, but no such luck. Girl, be grateful. Our search eventually led us back down to 1F. Having covered all other bases, we set our sights on the pool, but just as we approached the locker room... What? Hear what? Oh! Oh no. A girl who looked to be around middle school age had been laid flat on the floor. Oh, hell no. Both her arms were bound and her eyes and mouth were covered with sash-like strips of cloth. She was obviously being held against her will. She was kicking both legs and writhing all around, frantically trying to break loose from her bindings, but it didn't seem likely she would succeed. It was only after saying this that I noticed the bruises on her legs. They don't really look the same. Regardless of what caused them or how they might relate to my own injuries, this girl had markings like rope burns clearly visible on her slender thighs. They were peculiar bruises that looked almost like letters, as if they were signified something that was just beyond our ability to decipher. Yoshino grabbed my arm to hold me back. I was a bit confused, but did as he suggested, and it didn't take me long to see the problem. The strips of cloth holding this girl to the floor actually seemed to be rolls of gauze, and whoever bound it like this really did a number. The gauze was stretched haphazardly all across the room's furnishing. Several strands of it were then projected upward to the top of the nearest cubby shelf, where they were wrapped around the neck of a plaster bust. And from there they extended to the ceiling, where they were wrapped tightly around the handle of a bucket suspended in the air. Suspended right above the girl. In other words, if we pulled on any bandages the wrong way or moved any desks, the plaster bust would fall, and if that happened, the bucket would spill right onto her. Oh, someone literally made a torture device. The girl was thrashing wildly, unable to move or see, and too scared to call out. Sadly, this wasn't helping at all. It only served to pull the plaster bust closer and closer to the edge of the shelf. It was impossible to say whether or not she had any inkling of the threat that loomed literally right above her head. It seemed increasingly likely that this was just the intent behind the trap. If the victim attempted to escape, she would only wind up killing herself. Don't touch the fucking anything. We just need to explain what's going on so that she understands and she can see it. She should have heard every word Kishinuma was saying, but she didn't seem to be calming down in the slightest. With all the layers of bandages crisscrossed over her ears, maybe she couldn't understand us. Unable to see, unable to hear, and too frightened to scream, I think I'd squirm too if I were in her position. Who did this? Yeah, girl. Bro. Crap. You need to stay calm. Look at me. Oh my god, she slapped her. She slapped her! Oh my god, bro. Mayu! She's gotta slap sense into her. Okay, gradually the girl began to calm down. I gently stroked her cheek where I just slapped it. Tears were welling in both her eyes. I closed mine and nodded my head. Yeah, just don't move.
ここにいるからね。岸沼くん、棚の上の石膏像が落ちないようにしばらく
おう
Alright.
きつく結んである。でも
What?
大丈夫？立てる？ダメみたい。じゃあしばらく座ってよっか。無理しなくていいよ。
I put my arms around her, and only then did I realize that what she meant. She was shaking from head to toe more violently than I'd ever felt before. She must have been frightened out of her mind.
ありがとう。
You're welcome.
そうだよね。
I don't know who you
怖
are.
かったもんね。
こんな大人っぽい鈴本初めて見たかもしんねなんつ
I love when they add this stuff in freaking either games, books, or movies where they're like, all women just, they know how to be a mom. And it's just them being a good person. Like, that's it. It's them just comforting someone.
森重に頼りっぱなしのこいつも
Like, you could do that
そ
too.
のうちゆい先生みてえな人になんのかな。
本当にありがとうございました。お二人は命の恩人です。
I have no idea who this girl is.
無事でよかった。
Maybe I'm missing something,
ま
but...
さかリアルで命の恩人なんて言われる日が来ようとはな。
私は小笠原奈々って言います。武蔵川女子中学校の1年です。私は鈴本真由。よろしくね。
Mm.
で、こっちの柄の悪いお兄さんは
Did you have to call him that?
柄の悪いは余計だ鈴本。そういうとこは
Like...
森重の
She's like, and this is this dude whose dad is dead and like his mom hates him.
1年ってことは
Like, what?
サトシの妹より
Don't bring that up.
タッパーあるしなんかしっかりしてんな。
Wait a minute. She's supposed to be younger than the annoying little sister
やっ
that I had to deal
ゆ
with.
かちゃんもこの学校のどこかにいるのかな。持田くんとはぐれて
So there's no excuse. There's no excuse for her to act the way that she
岸沼
acts.
さんと鈴本さんも誰かを探しているんですか？
Yeah.
クラスの友達5人と副担任の先生とそれに友達の妹さん。まだ私たちもどういう状況なのかはっきりわからないんだけど、きっとみんなもどこかでは。そうなんですか。
Hmm.
実は私も友達とはぐれてしま
Did someone do it to you?
どこ
Or...
誰にあんなひでえ目に遭わされたんだ。
う。わからない。なりちゃんたちを探している途中で、いきなりものすごい力で縛り付けられて、多
A
分だけど
really big man.
大きな男か。鈴本
Oh my god, is it the one that knocks him unconscious?
生きてる人に会ったこと自体。
どうやら人玉や幽霊のガキ以外にも
Yeah. Girl. Nana suddenly planted both arms firmly at her sides, shrunk into herself, and began shaking again. She was probably thinking about what had happened to
その
her.
話はもういいでしょ、岸沼くん。
あ終わり。
You're like, yeah, the only people that we've seen here wanted to kill us, and we're gonna die, and we're never gonna see our families
私
again.
ちょっとこの子とプールの方行ってくるから、岸沼くんはここで待っててくれる？行こう。外は雨が降ってるから、お
Hmm.
水あるよ。はい。
おいおい何言ってんだ。危ねえだろ。喉が渇いたんなら俺
I
が
love
雨水
him.
お、ね、か、い。ここで待って。何かあったら
Okay.
すぐに呼ぶから。
うわ
Alright. You can die on your own terms.
気をつけろよ。
ごめんね、岸沼くんって鈍感だから。いえ、こちらこそすみません。
You're not a
しょ
bother.
うがない
Not yet.
あんな怖いことされたら、ここなら他に人もいないから。なんだったら私あっち向いてよっか。はい、うん、わかった。
What do you mean, clean up? I walked over to the wall where the roof's overhang offered some protection from the rain, and waited for Nana to finish up. Taking this time to look around, I noted that the whole building was surrounded by dense forest. Theoretically, we could climb the fence here and leave, but we'd just be trading a creepy dark school for a creepy dark woods. Could we survive out there? And would we actually be able to get home? I just wanted to find Shig. He'd be able to look at the situation coolly and rationally, without me flipping out and getting all emotional like me. I just needed to find him, to see his face. I was starting to get teary-eyed again when I noticed Nana lazily running toward me. As she neared, she slowed to a walk.
冷たい。体温ですぐに乾くよ。あとは香水でもかけておけば。
We were both completely soaked from head to toe. What perfume do you have? But I was confident we'd dry off quickly enough once we got back inside the school building. And since I happened to have some travel fragrance in my pouch, I took it out and spritzed a little on around Nana's skirt.
この香り、ロルチェのサンライトイエロー。
当たり。最近お気に入りのフレグランス。
Oh my
私も好
god.
きです。お小遣い少ないから今は安いの使ってるけど。
じゃあここを脱出したらさ、私のを分けてあげる。
本当ですか？
Oh.
私演劇部の公演の時。
Hopefully it survived when she was slammed against that
今度
wall.
は初舞台なんです。
She's also in drama
奇
club.
遇だね。私も高校の演劇部入ってるんだ。
Besties.
役もやるけど、本書いたり服作ったり、部員が多くないのもあるんだけど。
すごい。何でもできちゃうんですね。
ナナちゃ
She's
ん、
multi-talented.
ナナちゃんって呼んでいい？
はい、もちろん。
私のこともマユって呼んでね。ナナちゃんってスタイルいいから、もしよ。
いいんですか？
Oh.
でも私なんかよりもっとスタイルいい子がいるんです。ナリちゃんって言って私の幼なじみなんですけど、それから千早ちゃんっていう子はお姫様みたいに可愛くて。
じゃあそのお友達も探して一緒に帰ろう。私と岸沼くんも協力するから。
はい、まゆさん。
風邪ひいちゃうから、そろそろ仲。そういえばナナちゃん、その太もものとこのあざって。
あれ、ひょっとしたら捕まった時についたのかも。
そう、
Hmm.
ごめん、変なこと聞いちゃったね。お待たせ。
ああ、遅かったから心配したぜ。
女の子の身だしなみは時間がかかるの。ねえ岸沼くん、
Okay.
しげ兄たちを探しながらナナちゃんのお友達も探してあげてもいい？
当たり
Hey,
前
the
だろ。
more the merrier.
さっさとみんなを探して帰ろうぜ。そんじゃ行くか。
はい。
All right. There's nothing for me to oh. It's a pile of twisted, mangled gauze bandages that resulted from Nana's rescue. Oh, we can't pick it up? What if we need it? Okay. We've checked these. Have we checked the exit? I mean, with all of us? Or is it just the same? Oh, there's a ball here. There's a crumpled scrap of paper inside of one of the shoe cubbies. It's a bit heavy, suggesting it serves as packaging for some object wadded up within. Unraveling it reveals a small pile of long, whitish, stubby objects that at first seem like they may be candles or something, but in actuality... Oh. Just put it back. 10 in total, every finger from both of some unfortunate victims' hands. But you said they're white. The blood was very much wet, too, indicating that not much time has passed since these digits were severed. Wet soil was lodged under each fingernail, and faint remains of color here and there further indicated that the owner of these fingers had painted nails.
このネイル。
Oh.
ナナちゃん、
なんでもありません。気のせいだと思います。
Yeah, don't think about it. Just don't think about it, and you should be fine. You should be totally fine. The door's frozen. Okay. Per usual. The door's locked up tight.
拾ったカニ使えないかな？
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the key. Is it for the box? Is it for the box?